the lightweight division just got very interesting after UFC 329. As we know, there were two critical fights for the lightweight division, one of which did not even take place in the lightweight division, but still, the fighter that fought in the fight is a lightweight and is a very good lightweight. I'm talking about Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor, which was the main event, ended unfortunately, and Paddy the Baddy Pimblett versus BSD, the co-main event, which ended very fortunately for me as a Paddy fan. But here's what you do with the top 6, the champion, including the top 5 lightweights in the UFC right now. Everyone else is either booked or not in the title picture. Any of these top 5 guys, I'm talking about Ilya, Arman, Charles, Paddy, and Max Holloway, could receive the title shot next. I'd lean the least towards Max Holloway, although maybe not, considering he does have to win over Justin Gaethje. But we're here to talk about it. Who gets the title shot? Who should fight for number 1 contender? Who else should fight? We're going to match each of these top 6 guys, champion and the top 5, up against each other. Let me know in the comments what y'all think, and if y'all have different opinions or different matchmaking. I'd like to hear it. I'll feel free to debate you guys in the comments. But regardless, getting started with the champion, Justin, to highlight Gaethje coming off an incredible performance over Ilia Topuria, has stated that he does not want to fight until 2027. That is fine. I think he should fight Charles "Du Bronx" Oliveira, who may be looking to get back in there sooner, but if Oliveira is getting the title shot, I don't think he'll argue with waiting, you know. And I'm going to say Charles over Arman, because I think those are the 2 top guys who should be considered the most for the UFC right now. They're 2 primary options. But Arman's activity is really holding him back, along with, I'm talking about MMA activity. He's done plenty of wrestling matches, etc., 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 but inside the octagon, he's been very inactive in the last, since UFC 300, Oliveira has fought 4 times, including 3 wins, 3 spectacular wins, and Arman Tsarukyan has fought once in a win over Dan Hooker, which is a good win. Hooker was ranked 6th at the time they fought. But is it enough to get him the title shot? I don't think so. I know Arman Tsarukyan beat Oliveira years ago, but he's got to be more active. I think that they need to give Arman a fight as soon as possible. I'll get to who he should fight in just a second. And Charles Oliveira, he has a win over Justin Gaethje, so there's that, you know, there's storyline going into this fight, which makes it even more interesting. And Oliveira versus Gaethje the first time was one of the best one-round fights we've ever seen. One of the best lightweight title shots we've ever seen. It went 1 round. Gaethje dropped him twice very, very early on within the first minute. Oliveira was able to come back, land some big shots of his own, sink in the rear naked choke, and defend his title. Not officially, because Oliveira didn't miss weight for that matchup, which makes him even more interesting to do a rematch, especially now with Oliveira holding the BMF championship and Gaethje the undisputed championship. We could see a unification bout. We have not seen a unification bout since Masvidal versus Usman, in which Masvidal did not put it on the line. So technically, we've never seen a title unification bout between the undisputed championship and the BMF championship, which makes it even more interesting. Now, what do you do with Arman, who is on paper the number 2 contender? I say you give Arman Tsarukyan and Max Holloway, who's coming off the McGregor win a couple days ago. Now, do I like the fight stylistically? Absolutely not. I think it's a terrible matchup for Max Holloway. Not only that, I hate classic matchups. Some people love them. I hate them. I hate how it's so dependent on if this fight goes to the ground, he's winning. If it stands up, this guy's winning. I want more to that. You know, I like wrestler versus BJJ guys, which makes it interesting. Are you going to see him stand? Are you going to see elite grappling? I want technical striker versus brawler, which always makes for an entertaining fight. But I hate grappler versus striker, and that's what this fight would be. However, it is the path to the title for Max Holloway. If Arman Tsarukyan is able to defeat Max Holloway, that should almost guarantee him the title shot, especially with the win over Oliveira and a guy like Dan Hooker, who's only going to help his case. But, like I said, I don't like it stylistically. I think Holloway wins the fight if it stays standing, although Arman does have some tricky tools on the feet. He's unorthodox. We saw some axe kicks against Oliveira, so does he stand a chance on the feet? He does, but I think Oliveira is obviously the cleaner striker. But if it goes to the ground, it's going to be one-sided. Arman Tsarukyan is going to beat him up, which is why I do not like this matchup. Not only because I'm a Holloway fan, but like I said, hate classic matchups. But it is the way forward to determine who should fight for the lightweight championship next. Both these guys are in top contention, with Arman 5 fights in a row that he has won. His last loss was Gamrot, which was controversial, so you may have it higher than that. He only has 2 losses in the UFC, one to Gamrot, like I said, controversial competitive fight, and the other to Islam Makhachev, which was his debut, and look what Islam's gone on to do. So Arman Tsarukyan's a spectacular fighter, but he's got to be more active. He's got to stop with the trouble, headbutting Dan Hooker, punching a fan. I think all of that's only holding it back. And Max Holloway, I don't think you can reward him with an immediate title shot when he just beat Conor. Didn't really even have to do anything in a separate division all entirely. But do I think it deserves him a number 1 contender shot? I do. Make Arman versus Max. Do Justin versus Charles for now for the Undisputed Championship. That leaves 2 guys that we're going to talk about. Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria and Paddy the Body Pimblett. What now, lad? What now? What now is Ilia Topuria the number 1 contender? This would be a huge matchup for both fighters. The stardom is there. The beef is there. These fighters have argued in the past. They've talked about a potential matchup. It never came to fruition. And I think a lot of people would have automatically picked Topuria before the Gaethje fight. But seeing that Paddy Pimblett was able to survive the Gaethje onslaught and Topuria was not, we have to remember, Gaethje finished Topuria. I know it doesn't seem like that because it came to an end before rounds, but it is the reality. Pimblett survived, kept moving forward the entire time, never gave up. That makes it interesting in of itself. Imagine the trash talk these guys could do. Just imagine. Paddy would be all over Ilia about that Justin fight. And I think now with the 50-second BSD submission win, it makes for even more interesting matchup. Paddy, obviously the better grappler. Ilia Topuria would probably hurt him badly on the feet. Could Paddy survive? He could. And I say that because he survived Justin Gaethje, who just defeated Ilia Topuria, and has similar power. Now, Ilia Topuria has the power to shut anyone's lights out. It don't matter if you're a lightweight, a welterweight, a middleweight. He could probably shut out a light heavyweights. All it takes is one big overhand from Topuria. But Paddy the Baddy, I think he could survive it. And he doesn't have terrible striking defense, but Ilia Topuria is a slow starter. Paddy Pimblett is a very fast starter. I doubt that he would make it, that this fight would go to a decision. I suspect that they would make it a 5-round fight. They'd kind of have to. But Paddy the Baddy Pimblett does have a superior ground game. I know that Ilia Topuria, his jiu-jitsu is not bad, but it's not great either. A lot of people pretend it's like his base of mixed martial arts, which is completely false. He is a boxer. He does have the jiu-jitsu in his back pocket. Is it as good as Paddy Pimblett's jiu-jitsu? It is not. I think Paddy the Baddy has underrated jiu-jitsu, and it is elite for the lightweight division. He's the second best BJJ fighter in the division outside of Oliveira, who is the submission king. One of the better submission grapplers in the UFC right now. Topuria, one of the better technical boxers who carries insane pound-for-pound power. So this fight, interesting in every way. It makes for an interesting stylistic matchup. It would be competitive. I think it would go a while. I do not think it would go to full 5-round distance, which I expect UFC would make it a 5-round fight. They absolutely should. And just imagine the hype this one could get. 2 stars, Ilia Topuria coming off a loss, Paddy coming off a win like this. This could be a title eliminator in of itself. But like I said, guys, all of these guys that I just named, the top 5 contenders and Justin Gaethje, who knows who's fighting who next? Literally, there's so many fights you can make with these guys. Who knows who's fighting for the championship next? But I'll quickly run down who I think should fight for each fighter next after UFC 329. I say you do Justin Gaethje versus Drew Bronx. Run the rematch. The first fight was incredible for the Undisputed and BMF Championship unification bout. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I would gladly tune into that fight. Now, what you do with number 1 contender Ilia Topuria, you give him Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. There's beef. It would be competitive. Paddy's coming off a big win. Ilia's coming off a bad loss. Schedule it for early next year. We know that Ilia's probably going to take his time to recover. He has a broken orbital. We know that Paddy the Baddy likes to eat good after his wins. I doubt he'll do any different here, especially a win like that. So schedule it for early 2027, maybe a December fight card. UFC likes to round things off of the year big. This could make for an incredible main event to maybe a high-profile title fight, like an Islam fight, for example, if he makes quick work of Gary. But that's a video for another day. Now, Arman Tsarukyan, number 2 contender versus Max Holloway. I don't like the fight stylistically, but it's the only thing that's left. I think you have to do Justin versus Charles. You gotta do you have to do Topuria versus Patty. Arman versus Holloway is the path to the title for both fighters. Arman needs to pick up the activity inside the octagon, and Holloway needs another win at lightweight before he's justified a Justin Gaethje rematch, coming off a welterweight win, which he didn't really have to do anything in. But there you guys have it. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think, subscribe for more, and turn on notifications. Have a great day.